Hey people, I want to thank y'all for all the help. I tell you, when I started this channel, I was doing it for help because I was just seeing inconsistencies in the language and trying to read it, and I was looking for some help, and I'm starting to get a lot of it now. And this is the latest one from Billy the Great. It says, "Woe a foy is still a present in Dutch as a tip for the waiter." And that was in this last movie, The Big Edit. And that's definitely an edel, a worthy tip. And I forget where I read that this word edel means worthy. But in many languages, it's nobility. And you see in the Dutch, this is that letter I've been talking about. This the D or the TH. So the edel or ethel, be written the same, just pronounced different. But it's still nobility in the Dutch. And Middle Low German nobility, and Norwegian nobility, and the Swedish nobility. But in this Volapük it means today. And so I noticed that a lot of words in one line, if I look them up, there'll be words that are next to it. And it's where somebody was trying to add meanings to the words from a translation, from a bad translation. So they weren't sure which word was which, and some of these words evolved, but there's other words in there that mean today in the other languages you'll see in the same line. But in this Middle English, it looks like that's when they were trying to change the language there. It means rotten or muddled. To muddle is to mix, to confuse. And that comes from reading the word backwards. So that tells me that people knew, to read backwards. And joffled or jostled is mixed up. So it's joffled, it's mixed of noble foy. And so, if you're playing chess, your opponent, he is an edel foe and a worthy opponent if he's noble. But I got this note on my Google on my phone this morning that they unearthed this Roman mosaic floor in London. And that was just 3 weeks ago. But, the end of last year, in a farmer's field, they unearthed this huge mosaic that was depicting scenes from the Iliad. And so these British were much hip to the Greek language, which, just like the Hebrew, I say Greek wasn't Greek. It was a secret writing style of the same British language of poets. We get a better definition of noble here in noble gases. These gases have a low chemical reactivity. They don't mix. The nobility, they keep it all in the family is what that means. So in that last book I was talking about this Marginalia. It's all this artwork that was added in the ancient books, in the Bibles. It was added later. And it's here, is it antidotes, like antidotes, to heal the old writings that were joffled, Jofled, joffled, meaning the sons of Job, of a noble foy, a noble tip. And so these were all these suffixes and prefixes added to the words to change the number value, because the writings were all based on the book of Job, the oldest book of the Bible. That's Job, the much page, the gap, in the gaps, in the marginalia, to come annoy. And so this word annoy, E-N-O-Y, it's the base word O-I, oi, which is a call to attention. And something that annoys you, is calling attention to. It's en, which is translated as in, oi, to call attention to. In call attention to is to annoy. And so this is a later book, and it's explaining how to read all the new markings and all the artwork that's been added to the old Hebrew Bible. And it's reading this E, and then this tells you to read the other N, so E-S is E-T. Is it added at this? O-D, add, and then I-D, I-id, at es, this, or is it autodotes? Playing with the words and the way that the ancient Teutonic language went together. Everything fits together. And so you look at the word many different ways and figure out what it means. These are antidotes to cure it, like antidotes. And of the joffled, is mixed up, to add of, add l, to add of foy, a tip, A tip comes at the end of a worthy meal, an edel foy, a worthy tip. And so the rest of this page went on describing all the marginalia and the dipple meanings. And the next line started with this, at, ot, and then ito, add it to. And it too is like I was talking about, that word at, and it too is the first game you play with your kids. The T is the writings to see, and the written knowledge and the seal knowledge, and it's to connect the words to the picture is what this means. At it to, and you see it on the end of the word of graphitu. The graph is the writings, and it too is how the writings got there. Is graphite, is a pencil. And you see this word for knowing, is this it autodotes. They'll change it up on the next page and they replace this O with an A. And it becomes, the O becomes of. You see it often, just the O between words, meaning of. And it's it, and then add a date, to add a date, changing the date. And so it's still explaining the artwork, and you see it big here. This is a jot to toy, gar, of it, add a date. And so a jot to, it's coming from the word iota, iota, and it means something small. I is the smallest letter, and in the letter meaning, it's I, to make see the writings connected, a jot to toy, and to toy is to toy with. If you're toying with a puzzle, trying to figure it out, to toy, to twist it around. A jot to toy, gar, of it, at a date. So a gar is a spear, and that's also yesterday. In many languages they'll say a gar is yesterday. Ga is the present, and gar was yesterday. And so that's where your word eager comes from. If you're eager for something, you wanted it yesterday. And so in the margins, a jot to toy, to twist it around, they'll draw a spear, and you got to toy with it and think about the different meanings of a gar. Oh, it's also yesterday, and the dog is looking at the little spear on the end of the spear. It's also a sphere. And you also see that word, the spira, on the first page in the Greek for the evenings, agenit to the sphere. And you see in the Septuagint with all the markings, it's V-O-T-E, vote, V-O-T-E, which in the day used to just mean a wish, and it still does. If you go vote, it just means this is your wish. They're still going to put who they want in there. But a vote was just a wish. And then the N-E replaces the B or the V, and it means in. And so E-N means in, and an N-E also means in. And so it's the vote in, and then G-E, G-E. The vote engage, and then the N-E is a B, which means in, too. So the vote, the wish, engage in it too. And then the sphere are reps, reps are repetition. The wish, engage in it too. The sphere are reps. In the evening I pray that I get another day. The sphere are reps again. And then the vote, the wish, engage in it to proj, Proj. Proj, coming from the vulgar Latin, to make ready, to defend, proceed, to anticipate, to take action, to get ready for, to anticipate. Projamir rememya, Rememya. The Projamir rememya. And so, Yah, that's, they say is Yah is short for Jehovah, is where that comes from. Yah, one of the names of God. But it actually comes from the Egyptian moon god, Yah and La, right and left. But this proj is also where your word projection come from, and the camera. In the camera, though Latin camera, they say meaning room, or camera coming from a word meaning chamber or bed chamber, which in the Greek, they'll say that's where the word ophthalmos come from, the eye, the chamber. But it's also the word for these old dome top buildings. Anything with a dome was the cameras. Projection telescope, where you could watch the sun, or use a telescope and project it onto something that you can look at on a screen. And that's what they did in these dome buildings. They were big projection telescopes, projection cameras, where your lens was actually a concave mirror that would project back to a wall or another mirror to direct it to an eyepiece. And that's where the word, mirror and camera come from. And if you break these words down, pro is first and yod is make, the first make. And then the camera is, divide from the ra, to divide from the light. And then back the other way is Rama. Rama means to see into. The orama coming from the old Greek meaning sight or spectacle, to perceive or look out for. And they don't have the page on this camera Rama, but yeah, it is an ancient word, the camera Rama. But the future Rama, is to see into the future. And so to that preacher that told me there is no astrology in the Bible, no, that's what you learn on the first day, is the projection, the camera, to see into from Yah. Yah meaning you or the moon. So a jot, after a A, this is reading as a J, because it would be an if it was an I or vowel sound. So it's a jot. A jot to toy, gar, spear, the day, of it add a date. The Joplin, Joplin, I told you in that last movie, Joplin, they say it means the sons of Job, and it doesn't. It was the next word that actually meant job, but this means job, but it means it was mixed up because the change of time, of the noble foy, the noble tip, is what it's talking about, adding these noble tips, all of these tojos to the words in order to get all the math back right. So it was down in line 14 what I was wanting to get to today. But in this line 13, I saw this mark here, and I figured out what it was. Same thing as it means today, that some Bibles, these words were interchanged. And so I compared all the old Greek Bibles together, and sure enough, some of the Bibles, half of them got these two words interchanged, and that's what it means. And this word kathos, that's why you see the cat with the priest's hat, and the tet could be a D, so this could have many meanings. But it's this all alacados, and the L is silent in tortilla. It could be the old aliacadas, but the all Allah is all there. all their cat has, Kathas, as, OS is AS. The cat has, and then you go to this next word, what it's saying. Some Bibles had this word here. And so it's the night, and then cestin, S-C-S-T-I-N, cestin, the night cestin. And you know, cest, your ancestors, or an is above cesters. Cest has to do with what passed your genes down. And all the old cats have the night cestin. You know, the night passed down in their genes. They come out at night. They're nocturnal. And then, so, in another S, Stella, let as. So Stella, you know, Stella is the stars. You know, Stella, Latin for star. You know, all cat has night cestin. So Stella, let as. But this old cathos, you know, that's where your word Catholic come from. And a better look at that, you know, you see it's the cat, the catalicca. And that's what cats do, they lick their cat. But this is also related to the cado. You know, the TH could be the D, the cado, and meaning to fall, the fallen, the Catholics, to fall as, the cod as. But it's also, you know, the cath, you know, the cat, and also having to do with battle. But as cado, you know, it's downwards, beneath, below, and that's where that fall comes from, under. But it's surely coming from the same word cat. You know, cats damn sure got some fight in them, pound for pound. You know, cats are just badass. But as a cados, it could mean a jar. In all cados, the jar as the night cestin. And so the cados, or the jar, you know, it just means that the body, you know, that the spirit's put in, you know, you're a container holding the spirit. And so I was trying to get down here, this line 14 was what I was wanting to read, but I got too much on my program slowing down now, and I'm going to have to put this in the next movie. And I got to work this weekend, but I'm going to try to get this movie out here today. And I'm trying to get my time up. I've almost got enough time to get YouTube to monetize my channel again. And so I'm going to try to get this up. And to keep my time up, I need y'all to share these movies. I'm going to try to make a couple good ones here that you can share, because I'm liable to miss my Saturday and Sunday movies. And I surely don't want to be known for putting out bullshit movies just to suck up people's time. I try to put information in my movies.
Don't forget, hooty hoot, I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.